Hi, I'm Summer. Welcome to my channel, Red Lipstick Book Addict. And here we like to talk about mysteries, thrillers, romances, and so much more. All opinions are welcome, of course, because here we like to talk about why we not only love to love books, but why we love to hate them. So today we're going to be talking about The Inmate by Miss Frieda McFadden. And I just want to start off by saying that usually I'm a big fan of hers, but with this one I found myself a little bit disappointed, and I'm going to tell you why. So first, let's start off by talking about what is The Inmate about. So The Inmate is about a nurse practitioner named Brooke who decides to go work at a prison that she knows her ex-boyfriend, who was the star quarterback in high school, is currently imprisoned at, and he's there because of her testimony where she said that he tried to kill her and their friends at his farmhouse years ago. So one thing that is interesting is whenever I first read the synopsis, it definitely drew me in, but originally I thought that the big plot twist, although a bit predictable, was going to be that Brooke turned out to be the killer all along, and she framed Shane, and she still was wondering how he was doing, so she decided to go and work at the prison. And I thought they might have still had a relationship or of some kind in a weird way, but that wasn't what happened at all, and you know that if you read the book. I'm going to go ahead and warn you that there are spoilers ahead, so if you haven't read the book yet, read the book and then come back and we can talk about it. Or you can watch this now. It's really up to you. But we will be talking about plot twists and such. So anyways, the main thing that disappointed me was the lack of depth and the lack of character complexity and underdeveloped plots and lots of plot holes. So with our character Brooke, I'm just gonna look at my notes here because my memory isn't always the best. So with Brooke, I found her to be pretty unintelligent, and one thing that drew me in about the book was I thought from the synopsis that Brooke was gonna be a cunning, manipulative, smart character. That was just what I assumed, and I thought that she was gonna be a lot more interesting and multi-layered, multifaceted than she ended up being. In actuality, she ended up, I feel like, lacking passion, lacking perceptiveness, and I don't like whenever I always know more than the main character, because I just feel like that kills the suspense for me, and I just didn't like her lack of intuition overall. She went back and forth a lot about who she thought was the killer, and it's like, okay, well, clearly we can't trust her as much of a narrator anymore. So that bothered me a little bit. I'm gonna shock everybody possibly by saying that my favorite character was actually Shane Nelson. And the reason why he was my favorite is because I just felt he was a little bit more well written. I think that Frieda might have put more effort into writing about him, and he started off seeming like he was this long-suffering prisoner who was wrongly framed for this murder, who, just wanted more out of life, and he was done wrong. But then, of course, we ended up finding out he actually really was the killer. And I think Frieda did a good job kind of making us question whether he was truly guilty or not. So I did enjoy that aspect of the book. Tim is my least favorite. I know you probably would have thought, based on what I said before, that Brooke was my least favorite. She was probably my second least favorite. Tim was my least favorite because I found him to be very creepy and obsessive, and when he was in a relationship with Brooke, he seemed controlling and maybe even a little bit abusive. I just didn't like his character overall, and I really wanted him to end up being the killer. It would have made more sense to me. And I thought it was a little bit of a plot hole that he was so scared whenever Brooke went down into the wine cellar / basement, and he was scared because if he didn't know there was a dead body down there, then why was he so frightened about that? That just didn't really add up to me. I think it was a really fun scene for the book, so that part was cool. But yeah, just just didn't make sense that with the way with the way it played out later on. Plot twist is that's like one of the main things that I was disappointed about how they were written. So with the plot twist, the major plot twist was, one of them being, we kept going back and forth about who's the killer, and I just found that to be a little bit annoying because it just didn't make a lot of sense. The biggest plot twist that really irritated me and irked me was whenever Mrs. Nelson / Margie / Pamela Nelson ends up being in on the murders. I think that this would have been a really fun plot twist if there would have been some subtle hints leading up to it, but there wasn't. And so it just kind of felt like, instead of it being a satisfying plot twist, it felt like we were just hit with it, and it kind of like gave me whiplash. Like, it wasn't a plot twist that was surprising in a good way. It just was kind of dumb. Probably the best plot twist in the book was, of course, the one at the end where Josh ends up being a killer just like his dad. I guess it runs in the family. Thought that was pretty fun, but I still found that the plot twist fell flat. It just wasn't compelling. So lots of potential in this book. I just feel that it wasn't met. I think the first half was a lot better than the last half. So now I'm going to tell you about the things that I did to rank it. So I decided to rank the book overall 2 stars out of 5 stars. I get that might be a little bit harsh, but I just personally felt that it was kind of written a little bit lazily there, especially at the middle and the end. It was lacking a lot of depth and complexity and character development, plot twists that were satisfying, made sense. So that's why I decided to give it a 2 stars out of 5. Now for page turnability, I did decide to give it 4 stars out of 5 because I found the book to be very easy to read. So it was very digestible, and it wasn't something that I felt like I was like stuck on. Like I couldn't keep reading. Like, it was a page turner. The only thing is, I just feel like it was just a little bit too easy. It was too simple. It wasn't as complex as I found some of her other books to be in the past. So, yeah. And for plot development, I give it 2 stars out of 5 because there was a lot of plot holes. Like, for example, it didn't make sense that Shane Nelson's mom didn't tell him that he had a son. It seems like with how close, kind of codependently, that she was with her son, you would have thought that she would have visited him in prison and told him that Josh was her son, but she never did. So that just didn't make sense to me. And for relationship dynamics, I give it a 3 stars out of 5 because I did enjoy the drama. One of my favorite dramatic scenes that I wish we would have seen more of was whenever Kelly confronts Brooke at the grocery store about being the reason that Shane's in prison. And I think that was a really good look inside Brooke's world of returning back to her hometown, why she was so scared and why she left the way she did. And she was so scared about people finding out she's pregnant with this murderer's baby. I think it would have been more fun if we would have seen more scenes of her life in the town. Feels like we only got to see a small glimpse into what her world was really like, and I just think there was a lot more to play around with in that world that Frieda created and set up. I really liked the conflict between Tim and Shane, and I wish that there would have been more expanded on that. I also wish there would have been more expanded on some of like the romance scenes. I think that we could have gotten more out of those. I know it's not a romance book, but I know that there's been some good romance scenes in some of Frieda's other thrillers, so I was kind of disappointed with the scenes, but, and yeah, plot twist, 1 star out of 5. But anyways, I know I've just rambled on, but if you love to talk books, if you love thrillers, if you love romances, if you love to love books and you love to hate them, please subscribe to my channel and recommend me another book to talk about. Okay, thank you.